Hey, what's going on, everyone? I am back for another Slim Sports interview. And as always, I'm your host, Jay Slim. And joining me on the podcast for the first time after her freshman season at the college level, where she was able to suit up for the Lipscomb Bison in the ASUN conference, took the ASUN by storm, and sent a whole lot of shots back into the third row throughout the entire season. You could not get a shot off on this woman. Ladies and gentlemen, 6'2" forward out of Lipscomb, Hope Counts. What's going on, Hope?
What's up? It's great to be here.
Hey, excited to get you on. Love the energy already. Definitely going to be a great interview. I can already tell. And I mean, you had a great year to start off your collegiate career with Lipscomb. I mean, what the numbers you were able to put up showed that you are going to be a force in the ASUN for years to come. I know the season overall for Lipscomb didn't go the way you guys wanted it to, but you were able to, as well as some of your teammates, able to show Lipscomb fans, hey, next year, stay tuned. We're coming for it all.
Right.
Obviously, you were able to do your thing, and I want to be able to show fans, viewers that are getting to know your name, getting to see your face for the first time, to get to learn about the accolades that you have from just year one in a quick segment that I like to call Resume Rundown, where I'm going to show off
Gotcha.
what you do best by doing what I do best, and that's make some graphics. So I'm going to make a nice one right here. Show off the fact that in your freshman year, you led the ASUN in blocks per game by a wide margin. You averaged 2.6 blocks per game, which also ranked fifth in the entire country. You are a true freshman and able to be among the best of the best bigs when it comes to blocking shots in the entire NCAA. Absolutely outstanding. You are able to set the freshman single season record in blocks, also ranked third most in a single season for Lipscomb in their history, and also set the single game record with 11 blocks against Tennessee State. So,
Mhm.
I mean, absolutely incredible what you were able to do on the defensive end and also showed off some flashes on the offensive end. Got to mention that. And we'll show off some highlights here in a little while. But I want to talk to you real quick about taking that jump to the collegiate level. I know a lot of players, whether it's going from high school to freshman, JUCO to D1, whatever it might be, that sometimes they hit a wall. Sometimes they're trying to find their stride, trying to find their role in this new system, this new type of atmosphere that they're being a part of. What was that like early on developing into this system, and how long would you say it really took for you to find your stride?
Well, I mean, I think I've hit maybe 20 walls this year. Just maybe it's mentally, maybe it's physically, but I think probably the biggest difference at the start was the speed. And I really thought I played fast in high school and in AU. I thought like our whole game was fast. And then I got here so, like the first week of workouts, and these girls are just blowing by me. I can't play defense. And usually in high school, you're playing against people lesser your level usually, and you blow by them, you just block them. That's kind of was my thing. But then I realized that you can't do that in college. You can't rely on that. So probably the biggest difference was the defense. And I think Tennessee State might be where I started being more confident in myself and getting the feel of the college game. And I think that's why I had that breakout game with 11 blocks. I think I really got comfortable of you can defend. I think it's more mental. You can defend.
Hey, there you go. I mean, obviously, you had a great group around you that was able to help you get
Right.
acclimated to the college level. Obviously, the coaching staff, but also some veteran players that are used to Lipscomb's system. Nowadays, you get so many players entering the transfer portal, and Lipscomb did have some players leave from a year ago, entered the portal, went to other spots, but they did bring back a good group that was able to help each other out, kind of knew the system, what you guys wanted to do, put in place. What would you say was the best advice that you received early on that really helped you get going? You know, obviously, I know you mentioned Tennessee State game, how that it was able to help you physically. What was the advice that really helped you mentally? And how would you say the system you were a part of, where they were helping you out, how would you say that was able to use you efficiently?
Right. Well, I think the start of the year, all freshmen usually aren't expecting the playing time that I eventually got, or we all eventually got because of injuries. But I think what my coach said to all of us freshmen is that you're gonna mess up. If you don't mess up, you're doing something wrong. So having that in the back of my mind every time I turn the ball over is like, this is gonna happen. This is freshman year. This is where I grow. I think that helped so much mentally. I think I've had great games. I've had awful games, and I've had consistent awful games. I have consistent good games. But I think the biggest advice that helped me the most for freshman year is that you're going to make mistakes, and if you don't, you're not growing. I think that's probably the best. overall.
Hey, there you go. Obviously, if you're making mistakes, at least you're trying. At least you're giving effort. So
Mhm.
obviously, you gave a whole lot of effort this year. And what's funny to me is I know you mentioned right there, obviously the 11 blocks against Tennessee State was where you felt like you really got going. But the first game of your college season, you're going against Indiana, a Big Ten opponent. You had 5 blocks against them. You had 7 rebounds. You are able to go against these Big Ten opponents and still be able to put up those defensive numbers, making a presence known while trying to find your stride offensively, as all young freshmen usually end up doing when they first get into the college ranks. How would you say that first game of the season, going against that caliber of an opponent and being able to do what you did defensively, how would you say that helped build your confidence moving forward?
Well, I got on that court just for warm-ups and I was intimidated. That arena is huge. So I was shaking in my boots as a freshman from Indiana. I know my old teammate played with some of these girls in the USA tournament, and I'm terrified. These girls are huge. I thought I was big and they're twice my size. So obviously that was intimidating. But as soon as I got in, I was like, Hope, Hope, Counts. My name is Counts. Counts, get in, sub in. I was like, oh no. I was scared. I had to go guard this big girl, and that was also a big difference from high school into college, that you're not as big usually. You don't have the muscle. So I got in there. Obviously, I got the challenge to guard their big, and as soon as I realized like I can do that, I don't know why I'm scared. I'm doing just as good as I feel like everyone else, if you're on Lipscomb playing against Indiana, would do. So as soon as I gained a little bit of confidence, I was like, let me bring the game that I've depended on my whole life, is my defense and my blocking skills, into this game. Because if I don't start now, what am I gonna do? Like, start in the middle of the season to start blocking? That's not how it works. You have to start with a good base. And so as soon as I realized I got a little bit of confidence of playing with these girls and I could hang a little bit, and then that's where it really started growing.
Yeah, I obviously played against them, also went against Purdue a little bit and a couple of other very tough, very talented teams throughout the season from a bunch of different conferences. And no matter who you were going up against, you were always putting in that effort, finding ways to produce, whether it was blocking shots or making some crazy shots yourself. And I want to talk about some of them in a quick segment that I like to call Make That Play, where I went through synergy. I went through all of your makes, all of your blocks, and I put together what I feel like were your top 3 plays from this past season. But obviously, I'm just a stats guy. I'm just a fan of the stands. You're the one on the court doing what you do best. So, what would you say, whether it was a block shot or a made basket, what would you say was your best play from this past season?
Oh, well, honestly, I don't know if it's my plays, but I love making plays. I love passing. So I've I think it was Queens, or the game before Queens. I passed it. I thought it was a dime. I passed it to my senior Molly Hurd, and I mean, it was a great pass and it laid it in. And I think that we got up by 2 with those points. I think it might have been West Georgia, um, that we played against. So that's my favorite passing one. But an ongoing joke with me and my teammates is that when we're down about like 10-ish at the end of the game and someone's got to shoot it, I always go for the deep three. So I know Central Arkansas, I did that, and Jacksonville, I did that, the first one. So I think those are probably my favorite.
Well, actually, it's funny enough that you mentioned the Central Arkansas one that fell to 4 on my list. The very deep 3 that you had there. I did see that it
Mm-hmm.
was on my list for a while, but I had to include at least one block in your top 3 because you
Right.
had some crazy ones all throughout the season. And at number 3, I'm going to start off with this chase down block that you had against Bellarmine, where you guys were able to put up a great performance against them. The Knights guard ended up getting the ball on kind of like the left sideline, went down the court, but you were staying right with her on her hip all the way down. And she got down into like the paint area. She thought she had a step on you, thought she was going to lay it up. You ended up swatting that back into the third row, said, no, not today. And I mean, absolute incredible block there with some ferocity already as a young freshman. And so that one's at number 3. Number 2, going against Stetson. You had a nice little spin move, step through layup type of thing there where you were showing off that athleticism. You caught it at the top of the arc, used a screen to drive right before hitting a spin move to go left, and it had kind of got into stuck in a double team. One girl on one side, one girl in front of you. You had to step through to get up and under for a nice layup, put 2 points on the board there. And number 1 is an and one that you had against Eastern Kentucky. Caught the ball once again at the top of the arc. You dribbled right, hit a nice little crossover to the left, showed off that handles for being 6'2", got the defender up in the air and hit a Euro step for the and one through contact, able to go to the line, do your thing there. So obviously those are just three of a whole lot of big time plays that you had. You had 70 something blocks on the season. So I mean, you had some big time swats all throughout the year. And I mean, you just kind of blended into this culture so well with your ability to block shots because you guys were first in the ASUN in team blocks, which tied fifth nationally as a team. And you guys were fifth in the ASUN in points allowed per game, a very defensive minded culture for this Lipscomb program. Talk to me real quick about the defensive ability of this team as a whole to always keep you guys in games and compete.
I mean, the first, I think, 3 weeks of preseason, we didn't touch a ball for offense. All we did was defensive slide, defensive rebounding, box outs, all to keep the person in front of you. I mean, we got the most athletic practice players that we have to keep in front of us. I mean, that's half the battle. If you can do that, I'm sure you can do at least half the ASUN. So I think when we started off with our grounding and our basing on defense, I think that's really what got us that we could build off of that going on through the season was defense. I mean, I don't think there was a day of practice where we didn't go over at least one part of defense. Every scout quiz we had, defense was on it. Everything we did, there was a part of defense involved, and I think that's very important. I feel like a lot of teams sacrifice that into being more of an offensive team, but I knew that we had a lot of new pieces, young players, which can be hard to find your offense, to find the role of that, but it shouldn't be hard to play defense. Everyone knows how to play defense for the most part if you're this far in the your collegiate career. So we really just built everything off of defensive.
Hey, if you guys have great defense and able to develop that offense throughout the season, you're able to do a whole lot. And obviously, you guys found some struggles offensively, but the defense always seemed to hold firm. And you yourself, obviously, being a key factor in that, obviously averaging 2.6 blocks per game, also averaged 6.3 points per game, 5.4 rebounds. And some of these games, I mean, just put up some big time numbers. North Florida, you had 5 points, 10 rebounds, 6 blocks going against them. I mentioned Tennessee State before, 11 blocks, 10 rebounds, and 9 points against them. And then probably your best offensive game of the season came against North Alabama, 19 points, 9 rebounds, and 5 blocks going against them as well. So able to do a little bit of everything throughout the season, show what you could do. And you really just seem to make such a big impact when it came to blocking shots. Obviously, we've mentioned it 1,000 times already, but I got a question specifically for someone like yourself, being 6'2", you have that long wingspan, but you and I both know that it's more than just being tall and having that wingspan that's blocking shots. You have to have a certain level of IQ, especially if you're blocking that many. What has gone into your development into sending these shots back into the third row, being able to time these perfectly on chase down blocks, or somebody's trying to hit a spin move on you and you still manage to stay in front? What is it that's gone into your ability to block these shots?
Right. I think it's got to be from my younger self. I mean, I have 6 siblings and they all play basketball. So the driveway basketball got a little intense. And, I was up until about fifth grade, I was the smallest and I was, a scrawny little girl. I was like, how can I stop my big older sister and brothers? I was like, well, you got to scrape at them, you got to get the ball at least. And so I think from there is like, you could see that. So I got that practice young, and then I watched all of my siblings play up until I guess I'm still watching them. They're still in college, but I think that really helped my IQ of that side of the basketball. It's just watching. You watch NBA, watch WNBA, watch college, watch high school. I think the more you watch, the more you're going to know and learn from that. So I think that's really what it stems from, is from that battle experience.
Hey, iron sharpens iron. Obviously, family always manages to help one another. I know I have a lot of players that come on here and they give a lot of credit the same way that you just did to their siblings for helping them get better. So that is awesome that you guys have that kind of bond to be able to do that. And I mean, you were able to do your thing. Obviously, I mentioned before, the season as a whole didn't go quite as planned. You guys ended up going 10-20 overall, 7-11 in ASUN action, but still managed to get some good wins to show off a little bit of bright spots here and there. That Tennessee State game where you had the 11 blocks, you guys won that 63 to 55. Great defense there. North Florida, you guys beat them 63 or 60 73 to 65. And then Bellarmine, you guys swept them on the season, I believe, and blew them out in that last game, 87 to 42, doubled up the score on them. So obviously had some bright spots throughout the year despite some struggles. From the wins that you guys were able to get, what would you say were some of the positives that you take away moving into next year? Some of the bright spots that you saw where, okay, if we continue to do X, Y, and Z going into next season as a team and improve on our offensive capabilities, stuff like that, we're still going to be able to be a top tier team in the ASUN.
I think it might be just sharing the rock. I know sometimes when things got hard, we all want to just like we want to help our team out and let me go get a bucket. But once we started sharing the rock, getting chemistry and feeling each other and how we play, I think that's really when we thrived. I think it really was when we got the flow of offense, everything fell with it. And I think this summer is going to be a big rebuild program right now because we have 3 freshmen coming in, and we still have some injured. So I think once we get chemistry, and I think if we remain this chemistry on and off the court, I know that we're great girls. We have great girls on the team. You know, it's just lovely. Um, if we continue the chemistry, I think that's what is going to get us farther.
Hey, there you go. And going into next year, you're going to be taking a bigger role, obviously going into year two with Lipscomb. And no doubt in my mind, ASUN, you're more than likely going to be preseason ASUN Defensive Player of the Year heading into the season. And I have a very good feeling that at the end of the year, you will be the 2027 ASUN Defensive Player of the Year with what you're able to do. Fingers crossed. But my predictions are known to come true on the podcast. I'm going to point that out. So hopefully you have an award here in the future. But talk to me real quick about the biggest lesson you take out of year one with Lipscomb going into year two to where you can become an even more impactful player and be a big time leader as a young player on this team.
I would say it's more mental than physical or any ability you have. Um, I would say to myself at least is to not get emotional. You know, this is just a game, but I mean, when you put so much into it, you expect so much back. And I think that is so hard to do in basketball when half the time you're like, this is not rewarding. Like this is so like, it's so hard to be a college athlete. And I think when things get hard, you put it out on the court, or at least I have in the past, put it out on the court and like, oh, I messed up. Like my whole life is messed up, you know, because you put so much in this. But I would say to myself and to the freshmen coming in, at least at our program, is to not get emotional. Like this is your time to leave those emotions to the side and just play ball, play with your best friends, and just get better.
Hey, there you go. Obviously, if you keep on having that mentality of always finding ways to get better, you're going to keep doing that. And I know next season is going to be bright because obviously you have some great teammates that are going to be coming back with you that are going to be joining you next season. And it sounds like obviously your siblings have had some great college basketball careers as well. And I want to give you a chance to maybe shout some of your siblings out, shout out some of your teammates, whoever, in this segment called Who's Up Next, where you get to recommend some players that I can have on the podcast to talk about their careers, talk about their stories, just as you're doing now. So, who would you say is next up on the Slim Sports podcast?
I'd say my sister Grace counts. She goes to University of Minnesota Duluth, and she's heading into her junior year. And I know she's had some of my highlight clips, and I know at least half of my game comes from her. So I think she's a great player to look out for.
Hey, there you go. Obviously, that's a great name right there. Iron sharpens iron. She's part of the reason why you're at where you're at there. And I know
For
she's doing her thing at her college as well. So that's a great name for who's up next. Now we've got to talk about what's next. Obviously, we just talked about the biggest lesson that you learned, but now we got to talk about where you're looking to improve the most overall. What part of your game going into the 26-27 season would you say you're really looking to attack this off season with in order to go into next year a more improved version of yourself?
I would say offense. You know, defense is great. I've always loved defense. But offense, I think it's the confidence that comes in it. Like I know I can do certain things, but I'd rather pass the rock and let them do it because I believe in them doing it. So I think a way of improvement is to believe that I can also score. I'm not just a defensive player.
Hey, there you go. Cannot wait to see you knocking down some more shots next season, especially with those deep threes you're known for making. This time it's going to be coming when you guys are up instead of down next season. So you guys can start up that trend instead in the 26-27 season there. And you already know this time next year, we're going to have you back on the podcast, talk about your season, going off winning the ASUN championship, you winning Defensive Player of the Year, because we are predicting that right now, setting it in stone. And I cannot wait to hear about some of these big time blocks that you have next year, hopefully in the NCAA tournament. So thank you so much for hopping on, giving some great energy to the podcast for a fantastic interview.
Thank you so much.